Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro, friends. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Elixir Specialty Coffee and our upcoming workshop, Assertiveness Training for the Hospitality Industry, happening here in Sydney, Australia. Yes, I'm in Sydney, Australia. Here in Sydney, Australia this week. For details, head to mapitforward.org/events and check out our link to get your tickets today. If you'd like to purchase Elixir, you can also purchase that with your ticket to the event through Eventbrite. Today on the podcast, we are talking to you about, being me, and I am talking today about the difference between doing something and doing it well in our industry. This topic came about because I was doing a consult recently and we were discussing the difference between the action of getting a shot done and getting a shot done right. And this, we were talking about an espresso shot, excuse me, and the difference between professionals who will take a look at, they're in the middle of a rush and they're just getting shot after shot after shot pushed out, and doing it okay is good enough, versus a professional who is super aware that every single person who's paying for an espresso deserves to have a really great coffee. And so they are focused on the idea that if I'm going to make this coffee, making it just okay isn't good enough. Every single task that I approach as an employee or as an employer needs to be done at the highest standard of what I can do it. And I know that contradicts this idea of stuff that I've said before in this podcast of, your coffee can be at 70%, but your customer service has to always be at 120%. Well, that approach is absolutely necessary and absolutely true and still holds true even when you are doing something like pulling an espresso shot and it's okay if that coffee is 70%, because the 70%, there are other things other than the role that you're playing that will determine whether that coffee gets to 100% or not. What I'm saying is that your role in creating this coffee needs to be at 100%, 120%. And taking that approach of not just that idea, and look, I've been guilty of this back in my earlier years as a barista. You've got 100 coffees in the queue, literally 100 coffees in the queue, and you've pulled a shot and it's channeled just a little bit, and you're thinking, fuck, I have so many coffees to get through, myself and the barista that's working with me. Or I've seen that the barista that's pulling shots for me, the shot channeled a little bit. And typically I'd never let that pass. Typically I'd make them pull the shot again, but I'm just under the pump and I'm thinking, oh, fuck it, let's just let it slide. I shouldn't have done that, because what I'm saying in that statement is that the person who gets this coffee, that gets the channeled shot, isn't as important as everybody else that got a great shot or a really good shot. And that's not fair, because the $3.50 that they're paying for the coffee is of the same value as the $3.50 that everybody else who got the good shots are getting. And so when I'm saying as a barista, I'm prepared to let the quality slip, what I'm saying is that not all customers deserve the best. And that's me failing myself. That's me failing my customers. That's me failing my employer. And it's something that I've been able to see in hindsight, being a business owner. As a business owner, when I'm in the process of the manufacturing of Elixir, I want to make sure that every single bottle that goes out is equally as excellent as the one that came before it and the one that will come after it. And that's because I want my customer to want to come back. Now, I can have that perspective as the owner, but it's different to have that perspective as someone who's not as invested in the business as the owner. And so hindsight is 2020, right? Now I feel that I perhaps didn't show up for my job as well as I could have in some days. But our job isn't to be perfect. Our job is to continue to strive for greater levels of perfection. And we will never get there. We will never get to perfect, and that's okay. But the goal, and if you don't know where the bar is, here it is. I'm going to set it for you. The goal is to be better today than I was yesterday at my job, and to be better tomorrow than I am today at my job. And you can move in tiny little increments. There are some days when you're going to move in big, massive increments. You'll have this massive brain explosion of a penny that drops. Like I remember the day when latte art made sense in my brain and my hand at the same time. The very first time I pulled a Rosetta, and I'm like, oh my God, I finally get it. And it was just one of those days that was a huge, huge shift in the quality of my work. But then there are other days when you just, I don't know, there'll be a tiny little improvement that you make. For example, something that you don't want to do, you're too tired to do in the roastery. You're too tired to sweep one particular spot. You're too tired to make sure that the bags are perfectly folded over and taped down. All these little things. Today, I'm going to be a little more perfect and put a little bit of extra effort into making sure that those bags are done right. It's just those little things. But then there are other days when you finally understand that thing you've been trying to figure out about ROR. And then it's career shifting. It's a new growth spurt. Now, when it comes to leadership, excuse me, how does this apply? Well, when you're running a business, you can run a business to just make money, or you can run a business to make a difference while you're making money. Every business needs to be successful in order to survive. Every business needs to be generating cash flow so that it can pay wages and pay its bills and survive. Yes, it's awesome. But a business should exist to contribute to the people who are engaged and conspiring to its success. So the difference between just having a business and doing well at having a business are subtle but important. And we know the differences when we see those businesses. They're the businesses that people not only want to work for, but want to work for a long time. They're the businesses that people want to be associated with because they feel fed by them here in their soul or in their mind, or just they feel joy by being there. And as business owners, it's exhausting to do that. I get it. Trust me, if anyone gets that right now, I get that. But what I'm saying is that if you want to do business really, really well, you should be getting way more than just money as a return on that investment. This is where, again, life currencies come in. Your life currencies should be getting paid off, and you should be building wealth in those life currencies if you're doing business the way that's better than just the average way of doing business. But I absolutely understand that the effort that's required to make that happen can be exhausting. And the same thing with being an employee that goes above and beyond. It can be exhausting. But that's the difference between someone that just does their job and someone that's an absolute professional. The details matter. Giving a shit about the quality of the work that you do versus just doing the work is the marks of a true professional. And I invite you to just check in with yourself when you're at work next time, whether you're the employee or you're the employer. Am I showing up better today than I did when I showed up yesterday? Am I showing up with more intention? Am I showing up with more enthusiasm? Am I showing up with a greater gusto to do better for myself, my colleagues, and my customers? If you would like to get a better understanding of how to do that, the assertiveness workshop that is happening this week is going to go a long way to giving you the mindset to understand how to do this for yourself. So head to mapitforward.org/events and grab a ticket. And if you're not going to be here for Sydney, this workshop is going to be made available online within a week, fingers crossed, of the workshop ending. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. If you're in Sydney and you have a recommendation of where I should be going to hit up some new cafes or some great places to eat, please hit me up via at imapitforward or my personal Instagram at Lee Safar. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.